We're ready. What's happening? Welcome back. You're still tuned in to Salam Media, coming to you live from the Results Operations Center here in Midrand. And before we went on air, something really, really peculiar happened. The IEC, national results dashboard, where we see all of our results and latest updates, that went off air. It crashed. Those were the reports that we've got from the various officials here. And right now I'm on the website, the NPE results dashboard, and again, I'm not seeing any numbers. It's just back to default, but I'm pretty sure that's something that they're working on. But the latest update that we got before it crashed. Well, the big screen here at the IEC, I'm sure my colleague can put it up, is currently back online. That was all for a few minutes or maybe an hour or two. But from what we've gotten so far, and what I have on my screen right now is that 55.19% of the results have been counted, and this is the last update, which was at 8:49, so about 10 minutes ago. A 55.19% of the voting stations have been counted and they're complete. And the numbers, in the national ballot, the ANC is sitting at 3,256,822. That's national. And the DA, the national opposition, the official opposition, is currently sitting at 1,837,000. And I think my colleague can just put it up, put all the numbers up so that you can see them for yourselves. And the EFF, Economic Freedom Fighters, led by Julius Malema, they're sitting at 742,942 votes. But the big surprise, the big story of this year's election is, of course, MK Party, led by, former ANC leader and former president of South Africa, Mr. Jacob Zuma. They are sitting at 846,489. Other notable mentions, obviously, being the Patriotic Alliance. They're sitting at 212,782 votes. So these are just the general votes. These are from the national ballot. We're going to be narrowing in a bit with Professor before we get to him. The total valid votes that has been counted is now sitting at 7,764,232. So that's the votes that have been counted. We are almost 60% in when it comes to the counting of the elections. And joining me right now to make sense of all of these numbers, the different permutations, the big C word coalitions, which is making the rounds, is governance expert Professor Sam Koma. Prof, thank you so much for joining us. We're coming to you live from the IEC, the nerve center of this year's election. First and foremost, before we get anywhere, if you can just, from what you've witnessed so far, 50% mark, votes have been counted. What can we make of these results, focusing particularly on the ANC, the EFF, the DA, and the emergence of the MK Party?
Yes, thanks, Lilo, for the opportunity. Very unprecedented outcome of our national elections, of course, in relative terms, compared to the previous national elections. This was the seventh, and now it has yielded an outcome that points to a possible coalition arrangement nationally. So what it means that this election results so far, they've affirmed that the country has now entered the uncharted territory of a coalition government at the national level and also provincial level, because the results so far are pointing that Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal provinces will be hung provincial governments, meaning all the parties that are, of course, showing good results will now have to consider entering into a coalition arrangement with the purpose to constitute a provincial government in the respective provinces, namely KwaZulu-Natal and also Gauteng. Nationally, this is the first time, because remember, we have been saying that the electoral trajectory of the country points to a direction of a coalition reality. But we didn't anticipate that the 2024 national elections will dramatically result into a massive decline, especially for the ANC, in terms of dipping below the 50% electoral mark. Now, this is what now we are sitting with, we are faced with. The results are quite clear that the ANC will not be able to garner the 50 plus 1 electoral mark. In other words, in the next coming few days, of course, once the official election results are pronounced by the Electoral Commission, the ANC in particular will now have to shop around and look for 2 or 3 possible coalition partners to constitute a national government within the 14 days, because that's the period outlined or specified in the Constitution. So this is the picture that has now emerged. And also a shocker for me is the Northern Cape, because with the 99% plus votes that have been counted, the ANC is sitting at 49.3% as we speak. I'm not sure whether they will be able to master the 50 plus 1 electoral mark. And if that doesn't happen, it means now we'll have definitely 3 provinces where we have hung provincial governments that require all the parties that will be represented in the provincial legislatures to then consider bargaining and also clinching a coalition deal with the purpose to constitute provincial governments.
Both, I think, provincial, also nationally, it's time that they start shopping around for some friends. The big C word, coalitions, doing the rounds. As many have predicted that this year's election will be defined by coalitions. A lot of parties don't seem to want to touch the ANC with a yard-long stick. A lot of parties say would be willing to work with anyone except the ANC. Are they isolated right now? Is the ruling party, the liberation movement, essentially, of South Africa, isolated, not a lot of parties willing to work with them, or it's going to be an issue of trading, whether it's positions, whether it's metros, whether it's provinces? It's a scratch my back, I'll scratch your back kind of situation. And who's most likely to work with the ANC from what you've perceived, and also looking at, there are different agendas and what, the parties stand for, which most would align with the ANC and would be the key kingmakers of this election?
Yes, thanks, Lilo, for that. So provincially, if you look at Gauteng, the likelihood is that the ANC will bargain with the EFF, but they will also require another party to constitute a provincial government. That party is likely to be the Patriotic Alliance, because at the moment, at the metro level, especially the city of Joburg, the ANC, the EFF, and also Patriotic Alliance, they've entered into a coalition arrangement. So this is how I see it panning out in the context of the in the context of Gauteng. In KZN, the picture is different, because there, of course, the MK party has the upper hand. Is sitting at 44%, but the other parties, namely the ANC, IFP, and the Democratic Alliance, if they were to consider to constitute a coalition arrangement, they will be able to succeed in doing that, despite the fact that the MK party has a huge electoral margin. Nationally, the ANC will be quite easy for them to constitute a coalition arrangement. As I said, they may go to the IFP, because the two parties, they've got a history of having worked together, especially at the national level. You remember the whole Government of National Unity, which commenced in 1994. the IFP was part of the government that was led by the ANC. And if you look at the two parties, even as we speak, I don't see much of a tension. So they may be able to coalesce, the ANC, the IFP, and also a possible party at the national level could be the small parties, your good party, if they are able to, obtain a parliamentary seat, the PAC, for example, those will be likely partners or parties that the ANC considers to enter into a coalition arrangement with. So at the national level, the other thing is that the president is not limited in terms of the number of cabinet posts that he or she can create, as opposed to at the provincial government level. So, for example, Gauteng, the provincial government can only be constituted by a premier and 9 MECs, of course, assigned different portfolios. So if you take Gauteng, for example, it means the ANC will have to do with losing 4 MEC posts if they were to enter into a coalition arrangement with the EFF, because they will have to also be given portfolios plus the other party that is likely to be the Patriotic Alliance. So the picture totally different at the provincial level, but at the national level, I think the ANC will easily, in a way, coalesce with the small parties to constitute a government at the national level.
I want us now to focus on, what was the official opposition of South Africa's politics, the Democratic Alliance. They went into these elections very, very confident. There was the establishment of the Moonshot Pact, which, they were leading a coalition of various quote-unquote smaller parties, who were going to essentially support the Democratic Alliance, give them their votes with the one sole mandate to remove the ANC from governance. Let's analyze that a bit. I mean, looking at the numbers, so some of those political parties, maybe with an exception of the IFP, have not really been doing well, and that would directly affect, the Democratic Alliance ambition and the whole concept of this Moonshot Pact. Your take on this?
Yes, you're quite right. So, multi-party charter, Moonshot Pact, that idea is now off the table because the other partners that are part of the multi-party charter information, which of course they are part of the DA, and also if you look at the IFP, FF plus, these are the only 3 parties that seem to have garnered some sizable votes from the electorate, of course. Action SA, they're struggling a bit, and also the other parties, because there were 7 in number, the ACDP, for example. So if you look at the results as they stand now, these 7 parties will not be able to master the 50%, the 50 plus 1 electoral mark to dislodge the ANC in terms of constituting a national government. So that one is out of the picture in terms of course, realizing the aspirations and also the intentions, very noble intentions they had from the outset in terms of coming together to agree on a number of principles, values that were part of the charter, and definitely looking forward to perform well and be able to constitute a government at the national level. So that is out of the picture.
And now, just a short focus on the Red Berets, the EFF. It looks like, from what you've seen so far, they are losing that grasp of being the 3rd biggest party in South Africa. The previous elections in 2019, at this point, they were sitting at 10.8%. Right now, they are sitting at 9.58%. What's behind the EFF's decline? Because for many people, I think, analysts, pundits, pundits, political analysts, we thought this year's election was one where we could possibly see the Economic Freedom Fighters be the official opposition because of how their rise has been just so steady throughout the years since inception, about plus minus 10 years ago. But it looks like it. Have they peaked, with regards to support, introduction of MK, very, very similar in ideology? Do you think, their lunch has been, a bit swindled by the introduction of Umkhonto?
Yes, Lalo, you're quite right. So going into the 2024 national elections, the facts were quite clear that the EFF is on a growth path. It's on a growth trajectory. And the 2019 national elections outcomes attested to that. But now,
we seem to have lost Professor Koma there, but I'm sure while he's busy reconnecting, we can just look at the EFF because this is the party that we're talking about. Well, back in 2014, I think this was their initial introduction into South African politics. It was the first election that they participated in. At this point, at 54.89% completion of voting districts, they were sitting at 6.35%, and in 2019 at 10.8%. So it was a really surge for a party that was less than 10 years old. And then this year, the Economic Freedom Fighters at 54.89% completion of voting districts is sitting at 9.58%. So there seems to be a decline from the Economic Freedom Fighters, and I think that can largely be attributed to the fact that the MK has come into South African politics. They have disrupted, how traditionally South African voters would vote. So before, whilst we're trying to get Professor Sam Koma, we're going to take a quick break while he tries to reconnect, because there's still so much to unpack. We're still coming to you live from the Results Operations Center here at Galaga Convention Center. We are at the heart, at the nerve center of this year's elections. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll try to reconnect with Professor Koma.
Media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Attention drivers, revamp your ride with top quality tires at Best Drive Braamfontein. Our seasoned technicians guarantee a perfect fit for a smooth, safe journey. Choose from premium brands to budget-friendly options, all at competitive prices with special offers. From tire installations to brakes and shocks, we have all your vehicle needs covered. We also specialize in wheels, batteries, and suspension repairs. Get to meet our hands-on director, Mohammed Desai. With over 3 decades of experience, he ensures you receive exceptional service. Enjoy Salah facilities and a complimentary tea or coffee while you wait. Don't compromise on safety and performance. Ample parking available and full-time security on premises. Visit Best Drive Braamfontein today or call 011 837 4000 or 5000. We are 1 kilometer off the M1 highway. Take the Smith Street off-ramp towards Fortsburg, Fitas. Best Drive Braamfontein, where excellence meets service.
Yasin Badat Financial Advisory. Are your financial goals feeling out of reach? Yasin Badat Financial Advisory is here to turn your aspirations into achievements. Our dedicated team, armed with a history of success, is ready to guide you through the complex nature of financial and investment planning. Whether you're a seasoned investor or new to the game, our personalized solutions cater to your unique goals and risk appetite. Trust in our commitment to transparency, integrity, and excellence. Ready to unlock a partner? Call Yasmin Advisory at +27 33 346 2071 or visit www.yasinbadat.com. Yasin Badat Financial Advisory, guiding you to financial success.
Send food.
and send kindness to those who have lost their hope and been plunged into poverty. For those who are a meal away from starvation, a food pass will mean any family can eat this Ramadan. That's the power of food. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
The views and opinions expressed on this advert are those of the political party and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Salam Media.
South Africans have all experienced frustration by political parties and fake promises. Sun Party is a political party with a difference. We don't just talk, we act with a tried and tested growth plan, ensuring a brighter future for every child and person, economic opportunities for all. Guaranteed economic recovery, reviving our economy, creating jobs and stability. Real change that uplifts every South African. Implementing the right policies rooted in evidence and results. True radical transformation. Bold steps toward equality and justice. Structural reform required. Building a stronger nation. It's time for true